Welcome to Harmonized. I am your host, Gigi Naval, integrative and functional registered dietitian nutritionist, here to help you harmonize your gut and hormone health for improved metabolic health. Welcome back, everyone, to Harmonized. And happy 2026 to each of you. I pray and hope that your year has started off really well. Okay, so I have a client who is working with me because she has been getting less than 6 hours of sleep. And that is, as we all know, not enough to help someone feel really good from day to day. So she decided to work with me, but as we continue to work together, she then shared with me that she has mushy stools and occasionally diarrhea. And I thought, oh, wow. Okay. So that wasn't in the original reason why we needed to work together, but it has become a very important part of me helping her and helping her fine-tune her health. It's not just about the sleep, but it's also about what's going on in her GI tract. And if we have been honest with each other here on this podcast, we have been talking about how it is important for different systems of our body to work in harmony with each other. And so our gut health works in harmony with our hormone health, and it works in harmony, should be working in harmony with our brain health, our metabolic health, all the different systems in our body. It should work like seamlessly. Okay, but a lot of times things can go out of balance, out of whack, and we just need to bring things together and help them work better together by fine-tuning things at a biocellular level. Okay, so I believe we have already been into perhaps the first month of working together. And then she asked me, what are your thoughts about water that is hydrogen rich and that is also high in alkalinity? And I said, I gave her this very short response. And then she responded by saying, but I've seen a lot of studies done on this type of water and it is so helpful. Okay, there's a lot that I shared with her about studies that are out there, but let's not talk about that. I mean, I could, but let's not go there. Let's just talk about the water itself and how it has affected her. So God designed our bodies so that different organs, different systems of our bodies will run on different pHs. Some work better being acidic, some work better being at a neutral pH, and then some work better being alkaline. Our stomachs are designed to be anywhere from I knew it started off at 1.5, but I said 2.5. Our stomachs need to be between 1.5 to 3.5 pH. It needs to be at a very acidic environment because when food is taken into our mouths, we break it down by chewing. So then when it goes through our throats, into our esophagus, when it reaches into our stomachs, the acidity should be high. It should be between the 1.5 to 3.5 because then it starts killing off the bacteria that comes in through the food that we consume. It'll try to kill off the unbeneficial, if that's a word, the bacteria that's not beneficial for us. And so it works very efficiently and has to be, again, let us emphasize that it needs to be at a high acidic level. It needs to be very acidic. God designed that really well. Now, in our small intestines, so the mixture of food, liquids, etc., when that moves from the stomach to the small intestines, then in the small intestines, it needs to be and is designed to be by God neutral as well as alkaline. So the pH there rises, and the pH in the small intestines is 6.0 to 7.4. So from the small intestines, we go into the large intestines. In there, the pH is actually slightly acidic. So it is anywhere between 5.5 to 7. Okay, going back to the stomach though, not only does it start breaking down bacteria there, but this is also where protein is broken down into smaller elements that we call amino acids. So from there, it can continue on to get absorbed. So again, protein needs to be broken down by an acidic environment. It breaks it down. So now we have smaller pieces of protein into amino acids, and then it can then get absorbed much better. And also in the stomach, it ionizes calcium as well as magnesium. And what we mean by ionize is that the calcium and the magnesium are stripped so that the body can actually then process it and digest it. It should not stay intact. All right. And then in the small intestines, where it's neutral and alkaline, the pancreas will add some bicarbonate to neutralize the acid and also start nutrient absorption in the small intestines. But as I mentioned earlier, when we get to the large intestines, and it goes back to being acidic, but not very acidic, just slightly acidic. And here, this is where our good bacteria thrives. And this is the place where short-chain fatty acids are produced. Short-chain fatty acids are produced with probiotics and the prebiotics feeding the probiotics. And we also get short-chain fatty acids like butyrate by eating things that are, of course, fermented. And then when we eat different plants, and then even butter. Okay. So we need to keep in mind that my client has been at the beginning complaining of having mushy stools on a regular basis and occasionally diarrhea. All right, so when she drinks water that is at a 9.5 pH, so that's alkaline. This is like extremely more alkaline than her stomach, which needs to be between 1.5 to 3.5. She needs to be somewhere there in the middle. So let's aim for 2.5. So what happens is that neutralization takes place when this alkaline-rich water is consumed. And so what happens is that the water will immediately soak up all this free hydrogen in the stomach. So neutralization takes place. That is a very horrible situation. You don't want the stomach to be neutral, because then bacteria that we don't want, yes, we have beneficial bacteria, and then bacteria that is actually bad. The bacteria that is bad will not be killed off, and that will continue to proliferate and will overgrow. And then what happens is that when this alkaline water is consumed, not only does it neutralize things, but then the rise happens. So depending on how much water my client drinks, it can raise the stomach pH from a healthy 2.0 to a 5.0. Remember, it should only go from 1.5 to about 3.5. But drinking this water, depending on how much she's drinking, can take it to a 5. That is dangerous right there. And it can even take it to a 7. We do not want that. Okay, so what's happening here then? So once the stomach pH reaches above a 4.0, this is where the digestion disaster begins. Then there's no ionization that takes place. So the minerals that I talked about earlier, like magnesium and calcium, they actually require a pH that is less than 3.5. But remember, drinking the water can take it to a 5, sometimes even to a 7. And so magnesium and calcium, they can't get ionized. They cannot get stripped down so that the body can say, okay, now we can grab you and absorb you. So if the water keeps her stomach at a pH of 5 and higher, then these minerals stay locked up and they stay in their solid form. And guess what? This is pretty gross, but they will pass right through into her stool. She's not going to get the benefit of her calcium and her magnesium. Yeah, so it gets passed on right into the stool, and she does not get the health benefits that she needs. And with calcium and magnesium, there are so many benefits, and especially those two are important for managing our blood sugars. So on the hair tissue mineral analysis test, we look at the calcium to magnesium ratio, because if that's high, it means that the individual has issues with having a tendency for having low blood sugars. And then when the body senses that, it will shoot out more cortisol, and then that can elevate blood sugars once she eats. And we've done her hair tissue mineral analysis test already. And sure enough, her calcium to magnesium ratio is high. Okay, so in addition to failure to ionize the minerals, then we also have a protein flush. So we have an enzyme that God designed, and it's called pepsin, and that is helpful in breaking down protein into amino acids. We need it into those smaller components, smaller elements. But when the pH rises above 5.0, then pepsin says, I'm done. I can't do my job. I need to be in a very acidic environment. So then when my client eats and the protein doesn't get broken down because of her stomach being alkaline, then the undigested protein enters into the small intestines intact, okay? And the small intestines does not like that. And so as a result, we have the diarrhea trigger. The small intestines, it isn't built to handle this type of raw protein and the non-ionized minerals. When it senses that there's undigested food matter and minerals that are not iodized, did I say that right? Okay, I knew that wasn't right. It's not ionized. Then what happens is that the small intestines will sense, oh my word, there's danger. There's danger, and it goes into a panic mode. And so it triggers what we call a gastrocolic reflex. And what it does, it flushes the system with water to help move this junk out, because it's like, it's supposed to be broken down, but it's not. It's undigested, so this is danger to us, and it wants to get rid of it as quickly as possible. And so that's why it then tries to flush this with a lot of water to get it out of the system, out of the small intestine system. And so this is what creates the mushy stools and the diarrhea. So I have encouraged my client to stop taking this water, or to drink it just once in a while. And this individual who I care for so much, I care for her health, I encouraged her to stop taking it, but she says, no, I want to continue taking it. And I said, I completely respect that. And the choice is up to you. And she said, I've seen other people do really well on it, drinking this hydrogen water, this alkaline water. And she believes she has seen improvements in herself. And so I always say, I respect your decision. I am never here to tell you, you have to do this and that, but I do present to you the facts, the evidence-based facts that have been researched very well. And so if you have seen other people do well, just know that maybe it's at the cost of something else that they're not telling you. And like for you, if other parts of your health has improved, but it's at the cost of something, maybe the cost is your mushy stools and your diarrhea. So I said, so just think about it. And I always encourage as much as possible for my clients. I try to remember to tell them all this, that, pray about the situation. I'm here to guide and to bounce off ideas, but ultimately it is between them and God as to the final decisions that they need to make for their health. Okay, so yeah, if it were me, if I didn't know what I knew now, and then I was working with a dietitian and the dietitian explained it to me that this would hijack the original intent of what different organs in the body should be pH-wise. And if I was explained this, for me, I would stop drinking it. And, but, if she continues to take it, then I told her, that's fine. It's just important to keep in mind that as we are trying to improve the other areas of your health, it might not improve to the fullest capacity, because there will always be this mediator that will keep you from rebalancing things to the fullest capacity. So it's completely up to her, and it'll be interesting because we're still on this journey together, and I pray for the best for her. Okay. If any of you have drunk water that is hydrogen water or alkaline water, and you have had experience GI-wise, please share your story down below. Okay, friend, in all that we do, in all that we eat and drink, let us do it all for the glory of God.